right, so let's talk a little bit more about the Oscars, right? So in this episode here, we're going to talk about, Best Actress, right? Well, we're going to touch on the Best Actress category, right? So I'll talk for a bit about If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, right? Which is nominated for Best Actress. That's the only nomination it has, right? Yeah, so for me, I would admit I'm not familiar with Rose Byrne's work, even though she's been in the game for years now, right? I was reminded through Wikipedia that she appeared in X-Men First Class. She played Moira McTaggart. Right, yeah. She was in that. I forgot that.
Right, Moira, yeah.
But since it came out, right, courtesy we boys E24, right? Yeah, I was hearing a lot of great things about this, right? This was showing up on Best Of, on Top 10 lists and whatnot, and I was meaning to see the film, right? But some told me, well, I should say before I get to that, right? And people were like singling out Rose's performance, right? They would say like that was the best thing about the film. She carried the film on her shoulders, literally. She did.
Right.
One of the best, performances of the year, right? But I tell myself, okay, well, if that's the case, let me just get a little bit more incentive, right? Let me just get a little bit more, motivation, right? So I was waiting for the Oscar nomination list to come out, right? And, well, thankfully, as I predicted, yes, she was nominated, right? So I was like, all right, cool. Now she's nominated. Let me watch the film for myself, right? But yeah, you saw the film before me, right? But I'll just give a synopsis in terms of what it's about, and then you can tell me what you thought about it when you last saw it, and I will share my thoughts, right? So it is about Linda, right, who is a psychotherapist, right? She works in this, in this, I don't want to call it a house, basically, right? But they would just say it's a therapy business, right? So there's more than one therapist who works in this particular building, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, one of whom is a veteran, therapist by who is played by my boy Conan O'Brien. And yes, I knew going into the film that he was in it too.
I forget he was in this.
Yeah. And what I find so funny is that he, if I'm not mistaken, is hosting the Oscars, right? So I know he go make fun and say, hey, like, why the film that I started didn't get nominated for Best Picture? What are y'all trying to do there? So I know he will make little jokes about the film, right? I know you'll do that, right? Whatever. Yeah. So she has a daughter, right? And it's never said who the daughter's name is, right? And we actually never see the daughter, right?
I don't think child face here.
Yeah, and without spoiling anything, it makes for a truly, truly heartfelt payoff in the end. That's all I'll say without spoiling anything. Truly heartfelt, right? But yeah, we never see the kid's face, right? But you learn that she has this particular illness. I think it has to do with a eating disorder, something like that, right? So basically, she has to be fed through a tube. They also, slight spoiler, never say where the tube goes to. And we're not going to say where the tube goes to, right? Whatever. But yeah, Linda is trying to juggle her day job and taking care of her daughter, and it involves her doing these nightly feedings, so like she's sleeping there, and then she has to set up the tubes and whatnot while she's sleeping, right? Also, at the very beginning of the film, the roof caves in, and there's this large hole in her house, so she has to move to this hotel. And, she tried to, call she husband, who's played by Christian Slater, and, try to have him kept up with everything that's going on. And she tried to call the contractor to find out what's going on with fixing the hole, right? But really, at the heart of it all, it's just about her trying to deal with too much, right? And she thinks she have it all in control, but she can't.
It's a working metaphor for modern motherhood.
Yeah, well, I should say parenthood, right? But yeah, it's about motherhood, right? But I would say, it's universal in terms of just how hard it is to be a parent, right? But yeah, you really see how her character is worn down throughout this film, right? Emotionally and mentally, right? And because of the A24 show, I actually laugh when they do this at first, but it makes sense thematically, right? Yeah, they had a little bit of surrealism in it, right? So there's this visual motif about a hole, about basically, all right, slight spoiler, an abyss, basically, right? This point of no return, this point where this place where you throw all your bad memories, all these memories that you try to keep subdued, they go in there, and you don't want to go there, but she always finds herself drawn to that abyss, right? And the slight spoiler, I love how it's expressed visually near the end of the film, right? So yeah, you just see her just at the end of her rope, though, trying to deal with just way too much, right? I'll just say one last thing, right? It's the best way I could sum it up is like the whole serenity prayer. She just kind of ignores the serenity prayer altogether. It just kind of tells herself, listen, the stuff that I can't control, I want to control. I'm going to force myself to control this. And you see how badly that plays out for her and, you know, people around her, right? And I'll stop there. But yeah, Ricardo, as somebody who saw this film before me, well, first question, did you see it this year? And if not, if you saw it last year, yeah, how come you didn't put it in your honorable mentions?
No, I saw it. Yeah, I saw it after. I saw it late. After the thing. I only started to pick up stuff this month now.
Okay.
So I saw it very early in the year. This was pretty good. Like, it was when nailed the working like metaphor for stress in general, and then her, you know, everybody does not like, you can say it's just people not caring, and it's just, you know, they smile in the face, but life going on, and it's just the small things, just chipping away at you, and make it work. But yeah, and then, as I say, you know, what going on with the child is really like heartfelt and interesting. But like, to me, it wasn't as powerful as I thought it could have been. But yeah, to me, it was just a metaphor for motherhood, because like the whole is, well, a whole, and it's the kind of whole that you don't want to be. How it looking, I find it like it looking a little too organic. Like,
I was thinking the same thing too, especially one in the house. I was like,
why looking like that? Why looking like that? Like, stuff like that. There's all these things that add up. As I say, I forget Conan O'Brien was in this, because like, but he was like, it's a role that it's not super funny, but like, because it's Conan O'Brien, you kind of hard pressed to like not laugh, stuff like that. But yeah, I just thought, yeah, she was pretty good at this. She deserves a nomination, and it really frames that conceit of stress really well, because how when it's time for camps to get shaky and whatever, it's how everything claustrophobic and how everything just generally anxiety inducing. And I really enjoyed it for it.
All right. Well, you know, we'll get to read this later on, right? But yeah, for me, I did not expect to enjoy the show as much as I did, right? I would say I did not expect to be swept away by it, though, because even though I can't relate to being a parent, I felt that fear, that concern, that unease, that confusion that Rosebird's character was experiencing, right? Just to get this out of the way, her nomination is rightfully deserved. I'll be so happy if she wins, but then again, I have not seen the film that you will talk about next. That'll be Hamnet, so I have not seen Jessie Buckley's performance there, right? But yeah, Rosebird, boy, she killed it in this, right? And I love like how she is framed as just this, I almost to say it, right? Is that you sympathize with her, right? Yes. You feel her pain, yes, right? But it's never to a point where when she drops the ball, and there's moments where she drops the ball, where like, okay, she dropped the ball, but you know what? She going through troubles and she's suffering, so you know it shouldn't be so hard on her. But like that, you mentally could be like, nah, you still could have thought this moment out better. You should have thought this decision out better. You really should have thought twice before you did this thing, right? Because you know, quite brilliantly, yes, Linda does some dumb shit in this movie. She really does some dumb shit, right? Yes, it is these moments are emotionally driven at times, but at the same time, it's like, no, you really should have thought this all better, right? I'll just give like 2 slight spoilers, right? One involves hamsters. That's all I'll say. It actually makes for like legit the funniest moment in the movie. In real pitch black dark, but I was laughing at that. And there's a moment involving my boy ASAP Rocky, because another thing, I knew that he was in the film and I wanted to see how he was incorporated into the story, right? And I find it so funny that he's cast in the film, right? Because I mean, he knew a thing or two about being a parent, right? You know, seeing how he hooked up with Rihanna. She's like, okay, I see what you did there. Casting wise, that actually makes sense. Okay, I feel you, right? And I would say, like, even though, like, and I would say Conan O'Brien, for example, right? Like, they're not given Oscar-worthy performances, but I would say, given what their roles were, I thought they did a solid job. Isaac Hammer cracking up, you know, sometimes, though, just into what he was doing. But there's a moment involving Linda and Aesop's character. And I would not like, just like with the woman with the hamsters, I paused the movie, I kind of just step away, I was like, Linda, you can't be that stupid, though. Like, I love that the show was like, yes, say that to yourself, say that out loud, say that mentally. Linda, you can't be that stupid. I don't care what it is you're going through mentally or emotionally, but you can't be that dumb. You can't be that dumb. So yes, she makes a lot of mistakes, but it's never to the point that, but it's to the point that she is chastised for it, she's called out for it, and she has to kind of learn from it and move on, right? But you really do feel that strain, though, that stress that she's going through, right? And it's just how life trained all these things at her, right? So she's just trying to juggle everything, right? And I would say this as a wrap up here, right? It leads to a absolute gut punch of a climax and conclusion, in my opinion, right? I mean, emotional wise, right? Like, I just felt that moment, though, I felt it emotionally, but the payoff, though, was beautiful, but heartfelt and tear-inducing, even though I didn't, no man tears came out, but I still felt it though. And I imagine if you are a parent, or if you are a mom in particular, you watch that moment, boy, yeah, you'll be tearing up. You'll be tearing up at that moment though. It's just so powerful, right? But it just comes after incredibly dark moments, right? But yeah, I thought the show was great. This is from Mary Bronstein. This is a sophomore feature, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not familiar with her work, but I thought that she did a great job here. And the surreal moments, as she mentioned, by the way, absolutely work as well. They don't feel phony or shoehorned. They work thematically with the story, right? Especially with the theme of holes and, the abyss and all that kind of stuff, right? But really, it's Rose who she carries this movie literally on her shoulders, though. She's so believable. I like that, yes, you sympathize with her, but at the same time, you are allowed to call her out on her bullshit. You're allowed to say, no, you should have thought this out better. You shouldn't have made this mistake. Why are you moving so stupid? Why are you moving so callous? Be better though. Be like, do your role, man. I mean, do your job then, like that, right? So, you could say that, right? But it's never to the point that, even though she wrestles with that, it's never to the point that they can look at her and say she's a bad mom. It's not that she's a bad mom, she is going through a truly bad phase in her life and she just needs that support, right? So at the end of the day, it's not just about mental health, right? It's really about support. And yeah, like if you're a parent, that's what you need, right? Especially if you're a mom, right? You really need that support system. And this show kind of like beautifully, albeit darkly, kind of shows, what happens when there's no support system for, a mother, right? What happens, right? But yeah, I am rooting for Rose to win Best Actress. If that happens, I think that'll be like that'll be like a big win for A24, right? Because, like last time, A24 film won for Best Actress. That was Everything Everywhere All at Once, right? But I guess you'll tell me in a minute if you felt that Jessie Buckley's performance was great, or at least in your case, since you saw this movie here, better than Rose, right? But I mean, whoever wins, right? But at the moment, I'm rooting for Rose, right? But yeah, whether this movie wins Best Actress or not, that's Rose still gave one of the best performances of 2025. And this show would have been in my best of, maybe not in my top 10, but this would have been in my best of for sure. Not even an honorable mention. This would have been our best of for sure, right? But yeah, great film. Absolutely enjoyed this. For me, light to decent 4.5 out of 5. This would have been in my best of if I had seen it in 2025. But yeah, this lived up to the hype and more. And I hope that even after the awards happens and, regardless of whether Rose wins or not, I hope that people will continue to go back to this film, after the fact, right? But yeah, great film. Absolutely love this, right? Yeah, Ricardo, your final total rating on If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You.
Yeah, I thoroughly dug this. Rating, yeah, I'd probably give it like an 8 out of 10. It's more how it's shot rather than the actual plot itself. And, it had to set up a space of anxiety induction, and that is why it really, really worked. I just thoroughly love what it was trying to do and see. Yeah, really enjoyed this movie.
All right, so Ricardo, I will shut up at this point here. Yeah, Ricardo, take it away. Hamnet, what was it about? How you felt about it, and what you thought about Jessie Buckley's performance?
Yeah. So this is about the real, what you could say or debate, a real story about where the play Hamlet is based on, right? So it's based off of the dramatizes Shakespeare himself and his wife, and the death of their son, and it plays with that whole thing. So I think is Paul Mescal. If you know him, he's pretty good actor, like him. And yeah, as I say, Jessie, I didn't know this actress before. What she do before this? But I don't know Jesse Buckley before this, off the top of my head.
All right. Well, let me actually button and check her wiki quickly, right?
Oh, Men. Right, that was she was. I'm trying to remember she was.
Oh, okay. She was in Men. Right.
Men,
okay.
Right, that's okay. Right, so yeah.
Oh, and she's going to be in. Now found this out. She's going to be in The Bride, which
okay.
Yeah, the Frankenstein movie that Maggie Gyllenhaal directed, right? Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, but so it's based on this, and it's just the two of them building up the conceit, and it have all these real world parallels to Hamlet. So if you know enough about Hamlet, you'll see the real world parallels, and okay, that is where it come from, or this is where it plays, and that is what it. Now, I have no idea if any of this is real life or not, or if it's just them writing a kind of proto-narrative story about Hamlet and where it come from. I have no idea if this was real or how much reality this pulls from. So I have no idea. It's kind of like Wish. Wish is one of those movies that is a proto-narrative, but they construct it after the fact kind of thing. It's one of those, right? That's what I feel it is, but I have no idea. Somebody could correct me on that. I can follow, because I didn't do any research or anything when watching this. But yeah, it's really good stuff. It plays with to be or not to be story. It plays with idea of the outbreak of the plague, and it goes with all of these things. And yeah, all of this is expert direction overall. I think if I remember correctly, Louisa also edited this. I just remember from the credits. And oh yeah, right. This is just a clear vision. This again is one of those how to survive the MCU boy. Remember I talk about that with Nia DaCosta, and it's how to survive the MCU. This was pretty good. It boils down to how you know if you know enough about Hamlet and know about William Shakespeare's life, but I don't know how much of it is real. To be honest, somebody could tell me otherwise. I haven't done any actual working out of that. But yeah, I just thought this was pretty well done and really, really smart and just an interesting moral space to put the whole thing in terms of all right, how you're going to think about a story and how a story is based off your own trauma and what that feeds into the story and how much I'll say about you or not. And how people feel about William Shakespeare as a person where he just pull from other people's narratives and make it a European thing, and that's a whole weird discourse about Shakespeare. And yeah, I thought this was pretty excellent. Again, how to survive the MCU. There's the two director who have been we had Kugler and Nia DaCosta, and this is the other director to get out the short end of the stick from the MCU, but she comes out really strong. I love her movies before the MCU, then super love Eternals, and then this is just a comeback. And if she win the Oscar again after the MCU, that'll be a total middle finger to them, right? Because wow, they just waste a certain thing from that. But yeah, I just thought this was excellent, really, really smart stuff, interesting conceits. Don't know enough about Shakespeare to say otherwise. But it was an interesting space and an interesting idea. And how I feel about it in terms of the central idea or conception is that, this is interesting space to tell these kind of stories if you want to do it like this. This is how you do it. And it is really smart stuff. Yeah, rating. I get a 7 out of 10. That might seem low, but it's only because I don't know enough about it to know otherwise, to say if it was real or not in terms of the actual quote unquote proto story, about it. I felt it felt fake. It didn't feel real enough. But I can tell otherwise, if somebody could correct me and say, no, this is actually real or not, or what's the thing. But the acting and production is really good. Direction is really where it goes off the top of my head. I wasn't super blown away by her performance. It's a name Jessie thing. It's oh yeah, right, she nominated, all right? I suppose. Look, I'll be eating crow if she actually win. But I was thinking, the person I was thinking of was Paul Mescal the entire time. I thought he was pretty good in this. I wasn't really thinking of what's her name? Jesse Buckley's performance. Yeah, to be honest, in this. But it's fine. Rating, yeah, 7 out of 10, mostly because it's not for me kind of thing. It is one of those movies but it's still pretty good. Really, really solid stuff.
Alright, so if I just have one question, right? Do you think it is Best Picture material? Because, yes, it is also nominated for Best Picture as well.
I don't know about, it's one of those, when the Best Pictures is 10, and it is really 5, and this kind of make it 10. Yeah, it's that. It's in the bottom 10. I suppose I could understand it getting nominated. I respect that, but yeah, it's in the bottom 10 of the 5. It is really the 5 that should be nominated, and then they'll decide to put in that 10 text, 10 stuff. Is that. So yeah, technically. Yeah.